Today on Gritty, I give you part 2 of the Texas Whitetail hunt. The first part is episode 297. A group of us were invited to Sloane's family ranch in Texas, which included John Barklow and Chris Derrick from Sitka Gear, and Sloane Brown from Backbone Media, and my good friend Casey Harbertson, partner and owner of MTN OPS. On this episode, we switch gears from survival and technical clothing systems to hunting whitetails in Texas. It's just a group of buddies sitting around the hunting cabin, talking about the week's antics and adventures. There wouldn't be no Alamo, no Cowboys in the Superbowl, no Lonesome Dove, no Yellow Rose if it wasn't for Texas. George Strait. Well, let's switch gears a little bit and talk whitetail hunting in Texas.
Okay, I'm gonna.
You better just get another drink.
I will.
So
can you bring me one of those?
FCC regulations that I'm violating right now.
You're clear. You're clear. It's okay. It's gritty. So, Chris, you've been hunting whitetails your whole life?
Pretty much, yeah.
So, what's hunting Texas like compared to other experiences you had?
It's definitely more open. You know, when you're taking a look at the terrain, you know, the trees are way different than, you know, if you're from Georgia or Alabama, where I'm historically from, or even in Wisconsin. You know, if you take a look at the vegetation there, you know, the deer behave differently. They're used to different types of noises or smells. You know, there's a lot of people on the property that we're on now that are working oil. I guess, you know, there's a lot of that.
We're in Texas.
Yeah, we're in Texas.
There's oil pumps everywhere.
Everywhere. We use them too, right? Vantage points.
That's right.
Oh, you're my best friend now.
And Sloane rides them like
Yeah.
a wild
He does.
bronco.
Rides what? Well, I stepped away for
Pumped
30
yourself.
seconds and Sloane's riding something?
Well, he's riding oil derrick, or I guess, or pump jack. Pump jack.
Yeah, so I climbed up there to help Brian look into
Like Slim Pickens and Dr. Strangelove.
Exactly.
That's awesome.
Hopped up there to help Brian try to see his deer because, you know, we get 12, 15 feet up in the air. And I'm sitting on there for like 10 minutes. It was off when I climbed up there. And so I'm glassing, not seeing anything, just keep glassing. All of a sudden I hear, the thing kicks on. Luckily, I'm on the pivot point, so I'm not rocking up too high. But they all look at me, and I've got my arm up like I'm riding a bull.
We climbed
Did we
on
get that on video? Please
Yeah,
tell me
we
we
did.
got that on video.
I climbed up there earlier in the day, and I was like, I hope this thing doesn't turn on while I'm on. I'm looking around to make sure like there's no pinch point or anything where you lose a finger. But
Yeah, you hear about that.
yeah. So there is that in Texas.
There is. And, well, that's like a new style of actually tree stand hunting. I think you could use it to your advantage because you could be like low, high, low.
It might be hard to shoot off of.
Well, you know.
It does stop every now and then.
Just find the rhythm, you know?
You just got to practice.
There's pigs here. I've actually never really seen pigs running around while I'm out deer hunting. So
There's not many, but they're running around. They're hard to pattern.
there was like 30 in this little place we were at.
I think we found the one group of 30 on the ranch. I've only shot in my, 15 years of hunting this property, one pig with my bow. And that was 2 weeks ago down here. And it was right near where we saw him too.
Well, I think
the good thing
in
is
5 years, they're going to take over.
I hope not.
They do multiply.
Oh, I know. What do they breed 3-4 times a year?
Yeah,
Something like that?
they're busy.
Yeah.
You need to get out there and start, hunting them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're fun to shoot.
They are.
Make a lot of noise and they crash through the brush.
Good to eat.
Yeah.
That one was 300 pounds.
Yeah.
Maybe
that
not
got
him.
shot yesterday. So, here's what I've noticed. This is my second time hunting. So I hunted whitetails in Oklahoma a couple weeks ago. My first time really hunting whitetails was in Alabama last year in February, which was a crazy weird.
That's when they rut there.
Because they rut in February in Alabama, where we were at.
Yeah, that's right at the end. Yep.
And they were going nuts, these bucks. And so it was neat. Where other areas they'd already dropped their antlers, or they were in the process of dropping. These deer are in the rut, so it was cool to have that kind of thing in February. Your hunt just seemed to last a little longer. But the deer in Alabama were like it's like they were born and raised in a war-torn country.
Skittish.
They were wired tight, and they could do matrix moves that were beyond unreal. You told me they move at 1,300 feet per second.
Yeah, don't quote me on that, but
You got that fact from
Adam Greentree.
Adam Greentree?
Yeah.
We'll quote
Well,
Adam Greentree.
If Adam knows, Adam knows everything.
I believe him.
I love Adam. Adam says 1,300 feet. They probably do. I know it's fast because I shot at a doe today, and she full on dodged this arrow. I have it
She
in.
neo'd you.
I filmed this shot at 220 frames per second, super slow motion, and I shoot at this doe, and she's 30 yards away, and that arrow is just cruising, and the second the sound goes off, there was 3 deer there.
Mm-hmm.
They all drop, and to the point where their chest is almost touching the ground as
It's crazy.
I mean, just like an inch or two off the ground as they're getting ready to just spring up, and the arrow is going right over her back as she's in that. She dropped a foot and a little over a foot, maybe more. I mean, a long way. And then, so I saw that, and then I'm like, I need them closer because 30 yards is a little, they got it. So another doe comes in a little bit later, and she's 20 yards, and I shoot at her, and you watch that in slow motion. The arrow's halfway to the deer. She's still standing there looking at it, halfway, and then her reaction time was a little late, right? Because the other deer just reacted instantly when they heard the sound. This deer didn't react until the arrow was halfway there, and then she like bobbed and weaved, and she was 20 yards, and she still got a foot out of the way.
She dropped, and then she turned, too, by the time we got there.
Yep. And luckily it just happened to hit in a fatal area and got her. But those are, the first group were completely unaware. The second doe, she was looking at me, which surprised me. She kind of stood there and still took it, like even though the arrows like just didn't register. But still, I can't believe how fast their reaction times are.
It's crazy when a Western hunter especially is questioning a 30-yard shot. Like
Yeah.
they got me questioning everything.
Yeah.
Like, is 20 yards too far? You know?
I now I think the bucks, especially the bigger bucks, I don't know that they jump as much.
I can't imagine.
I've never had a big mature whitetail buck jump my string like that.
Yeah. Those does though, I mean, they're just like dainty, man. They're fast.
Nimble.
Nothing will ruin your hunt faster than an old smart doe. They'll
Dude.
blow at you. They'll give you away worse than any other.
Well, this one, so Casey Harbertson, he shot a buck tonight,
Yeah.
and that deer was 40 yards away. And after seeing all this stuff with the deer dropping, he's like, I'm going to use my 30 pin.
Yeah, he said he read his body language, said he was a little alert. He's like, yep.
Kind of knew he was there.
Heart shot, too, with a 30 pin.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's insane.
And,
40.
and
At 40 yards, yeah.
after watching them, though, I mean, they drop to the ground and take off. And you got to kind of know now when your arrow's going to get there. And you don't, I mean, in that case, you either miss or you hard shoot it,
Yeah.
you know, with that kind of adjustment, 10-yard adjustment. But
Yeah.
that's
It's
crazy.
extreme. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, David.
I've seen some impala in Africa move like that. I personally have not hunted whitetail like this before.
David Diasen shot that buck this morning. He shot it twice.
That's right.
Missed it the first time. It came back around. He shot it the second time, drilled it. Didn't go very far, but when we got up to it, you could see where the first arrow hit on his back and just trim the hair right off the back.
I was so amazed that deer came back too
I know.
after that. He
I
just
know.
must have been confused or something. But
He was tired of living.
yeah, I think so.
So I thought Texas has been pretty sweet. The buck I shot, he did not duck the string.
No, he didn't.
This was a fun hunt because we've been hunting tree stands and stuff. We got some set up on Sloane's property, and there's a couple of of ag fields around here where you can set up, along the edges and stuff like that. And then we sat by some river bottoms where, there's some trails and I've seen pretty much at every sit deer, but I'm holding out on the does because I don't want to shoot one before I shoot a buck. You poor saps haven't really had the opportunity to pass on a doe because you haven't even seen one of those.
I did the first night, and then I jinxed myself by letting him go.
I told him not to do it.
Yeah.
I told him not to do it.
Yeah.
So, but we did a spot and stalk. So, which I was looking at this terrain going, this is a lot like Alberta, and I just got back from my second trip there, and you glass them until they bed down, and then they hold tight, and you move in with the wind, and you wait for them to stand up, or you throw a rock, or you try to get them to stand, and then you nail them. And so Sloane went out there and climbed up on the roof with David DeAustin, and you were glassing, trying to figure out where these bucks were going to and from.
Yeah, it's kind of weird right now. We're trying to figure them out still. It's like, I think it's kind of secondary estrus going in, the second estrus, so it's not like full on rut. So I'm just trying to pattern them and see. So we went to the south side of the property. There's a big ag field. Got way up high on the highest point of the ranch. There's a water well, and it's got a pump house on it. So it's got a pitched roof. So David and I climbed up there the first morning and glassed 5 solid 130 plus inch whitetails. And we're like, all right, let's figure them out. Let's see what they're doing. And the next morning, let's bring the gritty in.
Yeah. I was looking at the video that they captured. I was thinking, these
It's in your wheelhouse.
These look killable right
Yeah.
here. This is the way to hunt whitetails. And so it's funny because we went over there the next day. I was really excited about this. And at first I was getting a little worried because we weren't seeing any deer, really, compared to the day before. The day before it was like bucks rutting everywhere. And you actually got within shooting distance to the same buck I ended up taking.
Yeah, crazy.
And anyway, so we watched these deer bed, this buck bed, and there are oil rig dudes and
cattle guys
shooting pigs and trucks driving everywhere, and these deer are just kind of in the midst of all of this human.
2 bucks and 1 doe.
Yeah,
She was obviously hot.
3 bucks.
That's right, there were 3.
Yeah.
One, yeah.
Little guy in there, and anyway, we went in. We kind of figured out where they were at, and then Sloane and I made a play, and we kind of weren't sure exactly where they were when we got over to. It's a classic, you see them, then you get over there, and you're like, where were they? Which spot is this? You know, it was hard to tell because it's just like grass.
Yeah. And there's several different thickets that they could have been in, but we didn't know for sure. We didn't even know that they were in there. I had my doubts. I was like, there's no way after all those trucks drove by, they're still there.
Yeah, I was telling them, like, they're there. Dude, they are there. They dropped right in that thicket, and they haven't moved.
And they're holding like quail.
Yeah.
What's really interesting is from what I've seen, the fact that doe was hot and this buck just really did not want to leave her.
Yep.
How that kind of played into, because like I had one that jumped and ran, and like, you can see a long way here, and I was like, still going.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
That's far enough. What are you, a mule deer? And he's like over the next ridge, like a mile away. I could see his flag like running. I was like,
still going.
I was like, stop, dude.
Yeah, no doubt. Like tonight, we saw another buck, or this afternoon, running with a doe. She's obviously in heat. She was leading the way, and he was like, I ain't leaving her. And he's a nice 130-ish buck, whitetail. And we tried to find him earlier, but couldn't. But we found this buck, and there was another bigger antlered buck, although he didn't seem to be the more dominant. Either one, we were like stoked. Those are 2 bucks we were after. But he ended up the bigger horned one, bigger antlered buck. He ended up getting spooked by the farmer dude, or the
and I think the buck
cattle guy.
that you ended up shooting, he was right next to that doe the whole time. He was dominant.
Yeah, he wasn't leaving the doe. So when she bedded, he just bedded with her, and they bedded like 18 yards from the road, 17 yards from from this, and these roads are like dust.
It's
like
a
sand.
grid. It's a grid of roads everywhere going in and out of pump jacks.
Yep, and it's quiet. Like you can walk up and down those roads. It's like walking at the beach. It's just so quiet. It's like I'm thinking. I see the roads and I see the grid pattern. I'm like, these deer are so killable out here, and so I was pretty excited. Sloane did not have as much. He didn't think.
Well, I've tried it before so many times, and it just has never panned out for me. I've had one buddy kill one spot and stalk, and it was a doe on a super windy day.
Yeah.
Other than that, I've never seen it done out here.
Well, the rut certainly helped because when we got over there, he jumped. Somehow, he stood up. I think he just stood up to check that doe. Mm-hmm. Just kind of, and so he stood up and he was kind of milling around, and Sloane saw him, and we were about 80 yards away, and maybe 180, 100, something like that. And that buck, he got a little spooked. Sloane rattled at him, tried to get him to come, but he wasn't coming. He got agitated and he bounced away and he ran off, tails up, and and he went over this ridge. And we're like, man, dude. And we're like, we didn't even get the stalk started and that buck left. And we're sitting there chatting, la 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 la, talk. And 5 minutes later, we're sitting there talking, and we watched that buck run right back while we're talking with loud voices. We weren't being quiet. Right back. I didn't even see him look at us.
He didn't look. He didn't look our way. He went right back to her.
Like on a string, right back to the doe and laid down. In the meantime, David is driving the truck down the road that he is on.
He was coming to pick us up because we thought it was over.
David's about 100 yards from the buck. He could see it if he was looking, and the buck lays down just as the truck is driving by.
Wow.
Comes over to us, and I'm like, we're just like, did you see that? Yeah. He needs to die today. And beautiful buck. And so we devised a plan, which included the pickup truck drop off,
I was new to that.
It's called the antelope drive-by.
The antelope drive-by. Yeah. I've grown up doing this. That's kind of just the old, either it's the Volkswagen van with the sliding door open, and you drive with the sliding door side away from the animal, and then as you're driving by, right when it's directly across, you step out or jump out, tuck and roll, and the van keeps going. It never stopped, just kept going, and the animal watches the van drive away while you're right there ready to kill it. So I'm like, Sloane, we are doing this, man. We're just the truck is going to deposit us right there. We're going to jump off the tailgate. So Casey and I, we do that, driving by. So, I'm not opposed to using whatever methods are necessary to harvest, legal methods.
Totally.
So plus it's fun. And so Casey get in the back, Sloane does the drive-by, and literally we jump out where I last saw that buck. But you cannot see these things when they bed. Like, they disappear.
Yeah, gone.
We jump out, and Casey's running the camera. We're right there. I'm like, he is right here somewhere. And we're standing there. I think we were there about 5 minutes.
Yeah, I had time to pull the truck around and get out and walk a little bit closer to him.
And somehow or another, we were close. I mean, we were right there 17 yards from the buck when we jumped out the truck. We could not see him. Couldn't see the doe, couldn't see the buck. Casey and I, the wind was good, but we're sitting there just waiting, like trying out his glass. I couldn't see him. And about 5 minutes later, we were thinking about having Sloane rattle from 100, 120 yards over and see if we could get this buck to stand up, and I'd be in position. But they blew out of there like pheasant busting, just poof. They just shot out. I don't know if they smelled Sloane. I think they smelled Sloane. Not that they didn't smell a lot of people, but he was pretty close, 90 yards maybe or so. and the wind was blowing right to them. So I think, or they heard me and Casey, or they just saw us or heard us or something. But because we were right there, they blew out and they ran off, and I'm like, man, dang it, that was so close. Well, dude, wouldn't you know it? David's over there filming from a distance.
200 yards away on top of a oil derrick.
And so he watches them, right? We watch him too, and they go up to the trees right next to him. And I'm like, I wonder if they stopped in those trees. And David's like, yep, they just stopped. Looked like they bedded in these trees. And so I'm like, oh, wow. And so this time I'm like, we are not blowing this one. And long story short, it took us a while, but we inched our way in there, glassed painfully for a long time until I spotted the antlers in just this thick brush, and just a tiny bit of antler I saw. I'm like, I got so jacked when I saw that.
I was just waiting. I was about ready to call it, and then I saw you give the thumbs up, and I was just like, yes!
18 yards.
This is a 4-hour ordeal,
away.
probably.
Dude, it's epic. It is epic.
And he's sitting there, and then it becomes this game of trying to get him to stand up because we could be there forever. And this is thick. I don't know what kind of brush that is. They're like,
I think they're plum thickets.
Plum thickets?
Or like scrub oak too. I think he was in some scrub oak.
But man, that stuff is just like dense, a wall of it. And so all I could see is the top of his rack. And it took a while. Casey's a couple inches taller than me. He could see a little more. And finally we figured out which way he was facing, which took 10 or 15 minutes. And then once we got that figured out, we knew he was kind of quartering away from us, looking the other way. So we needed to get Sloane. We got Sloane over there, and man, anyway.
Yeah, using hand signals.
I'm not going to tell people what happened after that. I'll have to watch the video.
It's epic.
It's good.
It's very good.
It's really good.
Really good footage.
From two angles, which is even better.
Yeah. So that was really neat. So I think tomorrow morning, spot and stock?
I don't know, man. It's cold. Cold front came
True.
in. It may be your
True.
one good hunt, conditions wise to get up in the tree.
The does are going to corn.
Yeah.
They need that sugar to stay
think so.
warm.
Yeah. Well, it's looking good. I mean, the last few days we've seen the rut really kind of pick up, a few does coming into heat, and it's been cool. I've noticed when I was in Oklahoma, the deer did not dodge arrows. They did not dodge arrows the way these deer do.
I will say this is kind of on the tail end of the season.
Yeah.
We've
So are you saying they've been shot at? You've brought like 50 people here? Hundreds?
No, not 50. 6 guys.
What he wants you to know is you were the last.
Right. They're all fully educated now. Come on down, Brian.
Yep.
It's gritty.
Yeah.
It's gritty.
We don't want it to be too easy. But no, we hit it hard this week, and you're the guy with the most whitetail experience, Chris, probably. Maybe Sloane.
I know. I'm leaning on you guys for support and
Sloane knows
here.
This place.
I'm very specific to this place.
But we both went to Auburn, so he's hunted some in Alabama, I'm sure.
Everybody knows Auburn's Deer University too, right?
It is.
Whitetail U.
And my land was in Sylacauga, which is like an hour and 15 minutes north. So my family property is there, and that's where I skinned my teeth on.
So are you used to deer dodging your arrows like this?
Well, it's like, whitetail are kind of known for doing this.
Yeah.
So, and what they can move and how quick they are. But, that's just something, I guess. You find them at certain places to be a little bit cagier and a little bit more, I guess, fearful or on edge than in other places. In some places, it's just not a problem. So
I tell you what I really like. bringing the hardcore Western hunter down here.
It is fun
Making
to
them
watch.
sit down in a tree stand. They're like, yeah, anybody can kill a whitetail. I'm like, not so fast, buddy.
Yeah, I like.
Calling you out there, John Barklow.
Well, I just wanted on record that, I've been sitting, waiting for some poor schlep to walk by me. And Gritty took matters into his own hands and actually stalked one and got it done. So, I mean, kudos to you, but, this whole sit and waiting for something to walk by.
This morning,
I mean, to kill a deer is one thing. To kill the deer is something completely different.
That's one thing I've noticed is that there's been a lot of deer come in shooting distance, and I've had a lot of opportunities sitting in the stands, but not on the giants.
Yeah.
And that morning we were glassing. It was like, well, okay, we saw deer, but we saw the deer.
Yeah.
When we glassed.
I mean,
and then we made a play on the deer.
We had some good deer come in that field, but, if they don't come within, what we've been talking about, realistically, 30.
They got to be 30.
We'll say maybe 40 yards tonight. That's all it's even possible with the wind.
Yeah.
The doggone deer's 250 yards away, and you're kind of just stuck. And it's
playing
a little
cat
frustrating.
and mouse too, trying to figure, because they're coming in one spot, you move a stand there, and then they're on the other
side. But at least they're on their feet now and showing themselves.
Yeah.
I was going to say too, the one thing that's nice about that is if it works, when you're in one of those setups, you've hunted the shot. Like you have you have a great shot opportunity. Yeah. But it's kind of frustrating because you're not really targeting a deer as much as you're just kind of hoping one shows up that's of the caliber you want.
Yeah. And you can, it is possible. I've killed plenty of whitetails from the ground. I've never had a story quite as epic as the one that you guys did with all of that. But, it is interesting to be able to, when the conditions are right.
Yeah.
And the conditions just perfectly aligned, and you guys took advantage of it, and it's pretty cool that you were able to do that.
And we were talking about this earlier throughout the week, is that a lot of this is, there's just a lot of luck involved in hunting.
There's got to be
in general.
Yeah.
Because, we're all kind of just hitting different stands and different spots and doing our thing. And the reality is that there's some spots where a guy's just there and there's just it's a magic moment.
Yeah.
A guy can be in the same stand the day before and doesn't see a single deer.
The only thing that's really in your control is playing the wind and controlling your scent. That's it.
Especially when we're all coming from another location. See, this situation is a little bit different because nobody's been watching these deers. Nobody's been patterning.
Our guide and outfitter has done a poor job of that.
He spent all this time in Colorado probably thinking about skiing.
Right.
And rather than actually...
that
chicks.
Is the furthest thing from my mind
He's
right
about
now.
chicks a lot.
Yeah.
I've heard.
And then, but if you
which
actually...
is weird with a name like Sloane. But,
But if you're in a place where you can look at them and pattern them, that can be a whole different.
Yeah,
that's where you start to take a look at, and then you look for the right day to go after that deer.
That reminds me of like blacktail hunting in Oregon on a small acreage where, you're kind of figuring them out. You got some cameras up. You've hunted it 3 or 4 years. You're getting it down 10 years. You know what I mean? And you're really targeting a certain deer. And so you're not just randomly picking a stand to go to or a tree to climb,
Yeah. Here we're just like, Sloane, where do I go?
Yeah.
And he's
Sloane,
like, well,
and I'm like, let me pick one of the 15 trees on 5,000 acres that there might be a deer in.
We put 2 new stand sites in on that field.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which will pay off.
Yes.
At some point, right?
Next
and
year.
So 2 new stand sites, and the doggone deer come out on the 5th. We have 4 stand sites total now, and it comes out on the 5th that we haven't moved to. You know, and but if you put enough time in, you will get one of those, if not multiple.
Especially on the rye field, it just looks like I've seen that buck come out and huge whitetail come out and then scent check all the does along the edge of the field.
Yeah, walks the edge.
And
he didn't do it tonight.
You would have a 10, 15-yard shot right there. He just came in the field and kind of just chilled. At least that buck did.
Well, to your point, I think, you know, the rut is kind of winding down.
Yeah,
it's
we
not
saw
like that field's full of estrus does right now.
Yeah, and we saw a big white buck, and he looked like a sack of bones. He was tired. He wasn't nothing to do with the other one. Either he's just old,
he's worn down,
or he's sick. You know, just worn down from rutting. But the bucks, all the bucks we've taken are like skinny. They're losing some
not a
weight.
lot of fat. No.
Yeah, no fat. The one I shot, he's a muscle deer. He's a good deer, good body.
Yeah, he was actually, he's pretty healthy.
Yeah. He just didn't have any fat left on him. He's running hard, so he's young. You know,
I think he's 4.5.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So awesome deer. His main beam almost touches at the front, which I have an obsession with ever since I started watching whitetails. When their tips just come right there, I think it's so cool.
That's a good one.
He's tall too.
Yeah.
I'm not sharing any time in a tent with you anytime soon.
Touching tips?
Yeah. I'm not.
Why you got to go there, Barklow?
Sorry. I don't know. That's
too many whiskeys.
You whitetail guys, I'm just not.
You're from the Midwest.
He's a big game guy.
So tell me this. Like, I am becoming, I've always loved blacktail hunting, right?
Yeah, you gotta take
done it on the ground. I've done the rattling. I've hunted Mount Hood area for blacktails, the Cascades and stuff like that, mountain bucks, but I've also spent time hunting them in like small acreage in urban areas, urban centers and stuff. And I did a film about blacktail hunting, put it on, Tim Burnett posted it, put it on his Solo Hunter TV show. I love blacktail hunting. And so whitetail's like blacktail hunting on steroids. Like blacktail hunting, you just hunt and you don't see anything. Whitetails you hunt and you see stuff like every day, you know? So they're just so active during the daytime and active period. It's really cool to watch and so this is my second whitetail hunt this year, and it's as rewarding and fun as any hunt I've done.
It's a nice way to recover from a long western season. You know?
But it's still tiring, dude, just in a different way.
It's more emotionally tiring for me.
Emotional and lack of sleep.
You're sitting still in a stand,
which you wouldn't think would tire you out.
Oh,
it exhausts you.
My back is sore. My shoulders. Yeah, it's exhausting in a different way.
Yeah.
That's why I hear some Western hunters kind of put it down, and it's like, dude, have you done it? Because try sitting in a stand from morning till dark, 3 or 4 days in a row.
Oh, it'll wear you out.
It's a different kind of toughness, you know, but it definitely does require some stamina, you know, and some mental toughness. So I'm having fun with this whitetail stuff.
Yeah.
Yep. All right. Well, we should get to bed. It's pretty late.
Tomorrow's probably going to be the most epic hunt of the trip too. Which you guys are raising the white flag and not hunting last morning?
No, we're definitely hunting last morning. There's no way in hell I'm not going. I'm not going to drink my slumber now before I go to bed, and then I'll never get up. No. I'll be like Sloane in the morning. Nobody's able to get me up.
I think I'm 4 for 4 on having to be woken up.
Dude, you did not look good this morning.
No.
But
the hair.
God, you were proud as a peacock.
Yeah, you were.
Dude, that hair is special.
You were like some dude in a hairband.
It was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Casey told us, he said, if you don't have 8 hours of sleep ahead of you, don't take it. And
I'm more of a third dose.
You know when you want to take it probably?
Or half dose.
Is that night before a hunt, the first hunt.
Yeah. When you're all excited. Yeah. It's like Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think,
now we're just all worn down.
Yeah. We had to run the podcast tonight because you guys leave tomorrow afternoon. Dude, I'm hoping tomorrow, man. I want to see I've seen
You
pictures.
said it. When it
I've seen
when it
pictures.
goes, when
I
the
want to
levees
see.
break, it's on. You know.
Oh yeah.
I want to see a big whitetail like we've been seeing on these pictures.
That
go
one
down.
today. I mean, he has no idea how close he came to getting killed, but he just they have to stop for 6 to 8 seconds for me to get a shot off, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's all right.
Tomorrow.
Yeah.
And then apparently I have to use whatever the range is. I have to use the pin 10 yards
Yeah.
closer. Than
I don't know.
Certainly.
I my theory on that is
If he's mature, I'm just shooting him low heart.
yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, I'm shooting low heart, and if he drops, I still hit him.
Yep.
Otherwise I hit exactly where I'm aiming.
Exactly.
You know,
Yep.
I think that's what
can't. I have
think-
a very difficult time aiming off.
It's a lot of faith. Yeah.
I think that's the ethical choice. You know, you have to. But that buck Casey, I mean, it was actually just spotted Casey like 3 or 4 times.
Yeah,
it was just
mid-draw.
like looking through the corner of his
Once
eye.
they have any inclination, man, you just know they're spring loaded.
Yeah. So he got that arrow. He aimed low, but 40 yards is a poke on these suckers. So I'm not surprised he drilled it with the 30 pin. Just not after watching some of this video.
That's pretty
Crazy.
smart that he did that, though. Not most guys would have done that. So
Yeah. And the worst case is if he doesn't duck, then you miss.
You just
You
whiff. Yeah.
Yep, you just miss. So not a big deal.
tomorrow's our buzzer beater buck. So
Yes.
that's what we got to do.
All right, guys. Thanks for listening.
It's fun.
Stay gritty.
Despite our ever-changing, ever-indignant world with its growing ignorance of and indifference to the ways of the wild, I remain a predator, pitying those who revel in artificiality and synthetic success while regarding me and my kind as relics of a time and place no longer valued or understood. I stalk a real world of dark wood and tall grass stirred by a restless wind blowing across sunlit water and beneath star-strewn sky. And on those occasions when I choose to kill, to claim some small part of nature's bounty for my own, I do so by choice, quickly, with the learned efficiency of a skilled hunter. Further, in my heart and mind, I know the truth and make no apologies for my actions or my place and time. Others around me may opt to eat only plants, nuts, and fruits. Still others may employ faceless strangers to procure their meats, their leather, their feathers, and all those niceties and necessities of life. Such is their right, of course, and I wish them well. All I ask in return is no one begrudge me, and all of us who may answer the primordial stirrings within our hunter souls, my right to do some of these things myself.
What you just heard is a quote from M.R. James. We truly live in a world that is largely ignorant and indifferent to the ways of the wild. And although some regard us as relics of a time and place no longer valued or understood, we have the opportunity to change the way these people view the hunter and the hunt. We can share our experiences and nature's bounty with those who employ these faceless strangers. And by so doing, we make a difference, not just for ourselves, but for the wild animals in the wild places we care so deeply about. Never stop sharing your passion for hunting and the outdoors. Our wild animals and our wild places depend on it.
This is Ty Stubblefield, and you're listening to The Gritty Bowman.
Gritty Bowman.